Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to go over a story titled, My Girlfriend Lived a Double Life for a Year, Should I Blow It Up? And I shout out to AM for sending this story. And guys, this story is about a guy, he's in, I believe, his late 30s, he's a father of a teenager, and he's been in a relationship with a gal for 3 years. He really thought this is someone he was going to marry, future with, all that. The thing is, this guy's been in a long-term relationship the entire time. How that started, I don't know. Why he did that, I really don't know. But long-distance relationship. And to no surprise, it doesn't work. And the worst thing is, he finds out that, guess what? She had a whole other relationship, at least a part of the time. And now he's dealing with the whole thing. And whether to go scorched earth or walk away, that's a big back and forth here. And as I've been going to go over here, guys, aside from the crazy factor, and this thing happens, and there are people that are that rotten that would do that to somebody, to make the point, don't do long distance. Okay? If you meet somebody somewhere on vacation, you hit off, and it's magical and wonderful and all that, and the sex is amazing, great. But then don't think, okay, now we're going to do a relationship, but I live in Boston and she lives in LA, and we're going to do the long distance thing. No, don't do that. If you're going to do relationships, because a lot of you want to, do it with somebody, not that far away, because the long distance thing is just not going to work out. And it's an easy way for people that are just devious and sneaky and have no soul to just use and hurt people by having double lives. It's just not right. And this is a perfect example of that. But fortunately, our guy, he's handling himself right. So it starts off, says here, we're both in our 30s. Let us call her Sarah. We were in a long-distance relationship for nearly 3 years. Smack! Are you nuts? You're in your 30s. There aren't any other women anywhere else. What could go wrong? Our relationship was built on years of friendship, and it felt serious. We traveled together, stayed close, and talked about the future. She was even supposed to meet my teenage son on an upcoming trip. But over the past year, things began to shift. Her communication dropped off at night. Calls stopped after 8 p.m. She said she was overwhelmed, depressed, and thinking about going back to therapy. I gave her grace, especially knowing she had shared past trauma with me, and I assumed her distance was emotional, not deceptive. So this guy wants to think the best, be supportive. This guy's a firefighter, so naturally he's a type of guy who's used in the hero business, as all firefighters are, but you get my point. Well, I asked her several times if there was somebody else. Well, interesting that his gut's making him ask that question. She denied it every single time. She said I was overthinking, that she just needed space. But the patterns didn't seem to add up. She only called during certain hours. She never faced time from her surroundings, vague answers, sudden mood changes, and I started questioning myself, thinking maybe I was just being insecure. No, you weren't being insecure. Trust your gut. And again, why are you doing this relationship? He says he has a teenage son, so obviously he had a kid pretty darn early on, and maybe he's his late 30s, and he's a firefighter. So maybe it's easier for him to do a long-distance thing with a chick he doesn't see 3 times a week. I don't know, but still, it's a bad idea. Have somebody local. Trust your gut. At the time, I was finishing nursing school while working as a firefighter. My plan was to bring us closer, either by moving her to live with me or relocating back to her city. I believe we were building a future together. Unfortunately, we were still very much involved. I flew down to see her regularly. We were physically intimate. And just 2 weeks before everything ended, we had sex. Here's a question. Did she come see him, or was he always going to her? Sounds like he was always playing by her rules, which is a terrible idea. I have texts from her saying that she wished I hadn't gotten a vasectomy, and she wished she could have had my baby. Well, be happy that didn't happen. She could baby trap you, and then she'd have a nice revenue source for that kid. It would happen. We were planning future trips, celebrating my graduation, and talking about the next steps. It wasn't distant or cold. It was still active, still personal, still real in my head. What I did not know is that she already moved in with another man. The bee is living a double life, cheating on 2 different guys. She was helping raise his daughters, living in his home, while still keeping me in her life. She never told me, not once. This is why you trust but verify, and quite frankly, Every guy needs to hire a private investigator at some point. But this is also why you don't do long distance, because you just never know. How can you keep tabs on her, you know? It wasn't until I started applying pressure, asking about the inconsistencies, the distance, and the emotional change, that she finally responded with what would be her last message. Now listen to this last message. She says, "I'm just going to have to inform you now and going forward that I'm no longer interested in communicating with you at all." Jesus, talk about a robotic answer. "As you have noticed over this past year, I have lacked communication on all levels from past issues and also respecting my current relationship. Please respect my space as I would like to give my full attention to where I am currently in life and my relationship with my man." That's her response. No I'm sorries, nothing, just simply like, this is almost like getting fired from a job. And she's blaming her past issues for these things. Notice that? What a heartless asshole. But then again, I mean, this guy, yeah, he should have done the long distance thing, and he was smart enough to see problems, but he didn't deserve this. This was the first time she admitted that she was in a relationship. The whole time she's in a relationship. Until then, she gaslit me for an entire year. Lied by omission. No, she wasn't lying by omission. She knew you were on to her. She sent me videos claiming she was with her mom, when those same videos were actually her cooking for his kids. Easter dinner, everyday life, and she was sending those to me while pretending everything was normal. Well, here's the thing, guys. She's cheating on this dude, too. After she blocked me, I started connecting the dots. I found his social media, I recognized the car, the house, the timeline. It all matched up. I had unknowingly seen pieces of this man before and didn't even realize it. Now I did. Because obviously you had the rose-colored glasses on. You didn't want to see that in her, you know? I wrote her one final message, calm, direct, not angry, and I let her know without naming names I had figured everything out. I didn't need to ask any more questions. I had the answers. This guy has every right to, at the very least, find that guy and give that guy proof, so at least that guy knows that this woman's cheating on him. And beyond that, if it's me, going scorched earth. She probably told him I was just some crazy ex who wouldn't let go. Maybe he saw one of my messages, maybe she realized I wasn't going to stop asking questions, and she sent that final message to protect her story to him. I don't know. I really don't. All I do know is that we were still active, still connected, and then she suddenly pulled the plug. He's right about that. I mean, she literally just like that. But she's obviously a sociopath. You can't be a quote-unquote normal person and do this to somebody. I also understand the situation she was in. She's 36 years old, was living at home with her parents, and suddenly had someone nearby offering stability. He had a home, he was physically present, it was convenient. I didn't think she set out to hurt me. I think it just happened, and it kept going until it spiraled. Smack, dude, you're making excuses for her. Because guys do this all the time. It drives me nuts. Because it's easier for them to make excuses just than to actually say she's a rotten, awful person. Because then they have to accept the fact that they fell and were fooled by a rotten, awful person. But now he's like, well, it was just because of circumstances and this guy was close by and gave her stability. No, she's a fucking piece of shit, dude. But even if it didn't start with malice, she could have told me the truth a year ago. There you go. She had chances. She chose silence instead, and that's where the real betrayal sits. She did betray you. Yeah. She never apologized, never admitted the truth, never said you're right or I'm sorry, just daily gaslighting followed by a final message to cut me off, then silence. She blocked me everywhere and never looked back, not a single word of closure. There you go. And like I said, she's a fucking sociopath. She's a piece of shit. You know? Of course she wasn't admitting she was wrong because, well, you know what what's the saying, Jack Nicholson? I can't think of it right now, but women and accountability, that thing. And I know she's living with that man. I know exactly what it is now, so I wrote my final message. I framed it as if I had known since 2024. That I had seen everything, stayed quiet, and let her run with the lie. I figured that was the only way to take my power back without blowing up, and I needed to expose her. I just needed her to know I saw through her, because deep down, I just didn't know where the pieces fit until now. I could send screenshots, let him see exactly what she was doing just weeks ago. The messages from a week ago saying that she wanted to come see me in July. the ones from 2 weeks ago, saying she wished she could have my baby. That way, I don't look like some crazy ex from a year ago. And he won't be left completely in the dark either, but part of me wonders, is silence more powerful? Well, that was the end of the first part, and now we're going to go on to the second part in a moment here. But, holy crap. I'm sorry this happened to this guy. No guy should be treated this way, especially a good guy here. But again, don't do long distance. And at least his gut was telling him something, and he was questioning. But still, if you're doing long distance, guys, and things seem off, either break up with her or at least don't tell her, but come up there and do your own investigating yourself if you don't hire somebody else. Look at all the time that she wasted with this guy, No remorse. And she's doing the same thing to somebody else. He has to tell this guy. And then upon him providing evidence to this guy, that guy doesn't take him seriously, well, then it's on him. Now the update. It says, I've been looking back at a lot of our conversations and the patterns over time. The truth is, I don't think she ever really wanted to let me go. Dude, get the fuck out of here. Come on. But the man she chose was local, convenient, had a house, stability, things that made her life easier to manage. So she's an opportunist. She tried to juggle both of us, but because I was aware and kept asking the right questions, the pressure I applied started exposing the cracks in her illusion. To keep the other situation intact, she had to cut me off. If she didn't, she'd risk losing both. And between real love and a manageable lifestyle near her job, she chose what was easy to maintain. Smack! Again, you're trying to make excuses for her, bro. Real love? There's no real love there, man. She didn't love you. Okay? She's a wacko. She's a sociopath. She's a narcissist. Again, it's easier for him to make excuses for her and oh, she chose convenience and she was scared to lose both of us, than they accept that you were had. You were fooled. You were lied to, and she's a piece of shit. She's a piece of shit, dude. Accept this. It's not your fault. Well, okay. You should have done a long-distance relationship. That was your fault. But beyond that, after doing more research in covert narcissism, I'm convinced that's what I was dealing with. Her lack of accountability, the gaslighting, the constant deflection, it is all there. I went back to older messages where I was telling her I wanted to build with her, grow stronger together, fix the disconnect. And all I got in return was rejection of my concerns, denial, and emotional shutdown. Well, this can be done by someone that isn't a narcissist, just someone who's an asshole, but I think she is a narcissist. All while she was secretly in a relationship with someone else for a whole year, I see it for what it was now. How do you know it was a year? How do you know that she has not had relationships with this dude or other guys the entire time? There's a question. Well, I'm not going to stir the pot. I'm not sending screenshots or trying to blow it up, even though the guy probably wouldn't believe it without proof. Smack, dude, come on. You're a firefighter. You're a badass. You're a tough guy. You save lives. Well, you know what? For once, let's ruin a life. Hers. This guy needs to know. It's just not worth the extra stress of leaving a trail that can be traced back to me. I'd rather walk away in peace and let them live whatever illusion they've built. She has things on me that could blow me up socially, and she would do it or worse. It's not worth the potential blowback to expose. Time will do it. And that was the abrupt end to his thing. And I'm going to say this. No, he needs to let that guy know. Unless that guy knew all along, which probably he doesn't. As a guy, think about it. He obviously was hurt by this, made to feel like a fool. Well, unless he exposed her, she's going to do it to this guy. And she'll keep doing that. Justice needs to be served here. So for the sake of all guys out there, he needs to do this. And this whole crap about her knowing things about him that could ruin him socially. Well, number one, guys, never let anybody know too much about you that could ruin you. That's common sense. But two, I highly doubt that. And all he has to do is, let's just say she decides to play dirty. He exposes her to that guy and she plays dirty. He can just tell all the people that she's exposing things socially about what she did to him. That will help cover things up. But he has to let that guy know, Now, yes, success is the best revenge. He can move on with his life, and eventually her life will probably turn to shit. But regardless, he needs to let that guy know. And can't be, fearful of what she may do to him. Now I'm going to read some comments here. One guy says, holy shit, this was deep. Sorry for your pain, bro. She really did a number on you. She's a real piece of work. When you say expose, what do you mean? Do you mean publicly, or do you mean sending the proof to him? Because here's where I see your options looking like. Option A, petty but final meaning. You can send him the screenshots that expose her, and you completely ghost her. Don't block her. She'll still reach out in anger and venom. You just say nothing and watch her spiral. Or option B, completely walk away. Don't expose her, just let it be, but if she ever reaches out to you again in the future, you treat her like she's dead to you. Not with anger or bitterness, just complete silence and indifference, like her existence of no consequence to you. Well, I say A. Let the guy know. The other guy says, let it burn like Usher, bro. The final message was fucking disgusting. Basically saying, go F yourself. Like you're the bad guy, karma is real, and this B deserves what she's got coming. I hope you know that the OP that your efforts and willingness to make what you had work should not detour you of who you are and how you treat the next woman in your life. Keep your head up high and grind on, my friend. Any gal will be lucky to have you, a guy like you, and don't let this change you and make you bitter. I wish you the best, bro. No, this experience should definitely make you, I wouldn't say bitter, but definitely R-pilled. Definitely aware of what can happen and not foolish to, well, do a lot of the things he did. Another one. This guy says, ruin her, man. Show him everything. The messages of wanting your child, the gaslighting, show him everything. She kept you thinking that she was trying to build a life with you. Meanwhile, she was already building a life with someone else. He needs to know the truth, because that's not fair to him either. Essentially, she lied to both of you for an entire year. Well, how do you know it's a year? Well, anyhow, guys, there you go. Freaking crazy, double life, that type of thing. But it happens, man. I mean, I've covered plenty of stories about guys who do the long distance. They find their girlfriend was hooking up with other dudes, but like a whole full-on relationship. And this isn't like, you know, a couple, they were together in high school, and one girl's going to college here, and the guy's going to college here. And I'm talking, these are adults in their 30s. And she's having a full-blown relationship with somebody else, living a life, you know, and it's disgusting. But there are people out there like this. And in my opinion, they deserve what's coming to them. So I really hope this guy reconsiders. We shall see. All right, guys, that was it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. What do you think you should do? I want to hear in the comments section. Go Scorched Earth, or just move on and let her life crumble? Do you think the other guy needs to know? Do you think the guy actually knew something was going on? I'd like to hear your opinion about that. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.